It's official! We have reached 50,000 subscribers here on the Sarah Sunstone channel, all through sharing the love of video games and wholesome vibes. So today, I will be sharing many of the games that have shaped my experience as a gamer, my journey on the channel, and in many ways, my life as a whole. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Sunstone, and today, in celebration of reaching 50,000 subscribers, I will be sharing my top 50 games of all time with you. Thank you all so much for your support in helping me reach this incredible milestone. I appreciate you all more than words could ever begin to express. We also have a new, very special 50K merch collection available at threadingpixels.com, including items inspired by the channel's shows, so you can rep your favorites. There's a special promotion running now until August 10th, where you can get a completely free emote sticker sheet with the purchase of any embroidered item from my collection. So check the link along with more information in the description, and go snatch up some super cute and comfy merch if you'd like to support the channel even more. Plus, please make sure you're subscribed to be a part of this exciting milestone for the channel. But otherwise, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. This game truly changed my life in more ways than one. It was released the day after my birthday in probably the most uncertain year of many of our lives, but my villagers were there for me every day, and the deserted island world somehow brought this sense of peace and comfort. I found so much joy in just the simplest of activities, like checking Nook's Cranny every single day for new items because I didn't time travel at all. Something as small as just shaking trees, hoping that maybe a new furniture item would fall out or some bells. Island hopping to find my favorite villagers to invite back to my island. Decorating, fishing, bug catching, completing my collections, upgrading the buildings. There was so much to do, and every aspect of the game felt so comforting. Not to mention the hourly soundtrack. The 5 a.m. music will make me cry to this day. There is such a special feeling surrounding this game that I think many of you can probably relate to. It's like a big warm hug, and it just hits different. Animal Crossing: Wild World. This was actually my first console game, and I guess my first cozy game experience. Up until this game, I had mostly played PC platformers that my dad introduced me to, and the odd GameCube game at like a friend's house. But I loved games and I really wanted to get into gaming more myself. And I was very young, so I spent months and months collecting bottles and pop cans to save up enough money, eventually, over time, to buy my own DS, the original Nintendo DS. And I probably spent about 80% of my time with that handheld literally just playing Animal Crossing: Wild World. As a kid, it was a magical experience to be able to just wander around this little world of my own. I would hide under the covers at night when I was supposed to be asleep, collecting shells and fruits and fishing and talking to the villagers. And it was just a safe place for me that I treasured more than words can express. This game is definitely what truly started my journey off as a lover of cozier games. And I actually didn't play any of the Animal Crossing entries from then until New Horizons. So you can imagine how magical it was for me to revisit the series and what an upgrade it was from Wild World to New Horizons. And I still have my copy of Animal Crossing: Wild World physical, which is really cool. Astro's Playroom. This game might be one of the most fun-filled titles I've ever played. The world is so vibrant, the platforming mechanics are impeccable, everything in it is so satisfying, plus the way the DualSense controller capabilities are integrated into the game's design are actually unreal. When it's raining, you can feel it. Walking on sand feels different than walking on concrete. I remember playing this title for the first time and actually being mind-blowing. I thought, this is seriously the future of gaming. Plus, Astro is such a cute character, and I can't wait to see where his future takes him, especially with the upcoming Astrobot game around the corner, which I'm sure will become a part of my future top 50 once it's released, and I can't wait to play it. A Way Out. This action-adventure game is from the director of It Takes Two, meaning you'll be in for a treat with the creative co-op mechanics. You play as one of two different prisoners who are planning an escape together. I personally played this title as Leo, and was in complete awe of the different creative ways you'll need to work with the other player to solve puzzles and overcome obstacles. I feel like the direction and the execution of this title is seriously genius. It's just the best way I can describe it. It had me on the edge of my seat the entire time I was playing. I was also always delighted to discover a new mechanic, a new activity, a mini game, or challenge just around every corner. Biomutant. I'm always looking for open world games that are in alignment with my personal taste, and Biomutant is one that I really love. It's third person, you get to create your own mutant critter, and the post-apocalyptic world is beautiful. The looting in this game specifically is super satisfying, and the crafting is really fun. You'll actually find random objects around the world, and you can put them all together in different ways to make really unique weapons. There's also cute mounts you can collect, very quirky characters to meet, and the combat system is really fun. It combines melee, shooting, also these like special mutant abilities, and fun comic book text describing the actions you're taking. But I also just enjoy peacefully exploring the world and seeing what treasures I can discover along the way. Boomerang Foo. This is one of my all-time favorite party games. The concept is very simple. You pick your favorite food to play as and are armed with a boomerang, and then you slice and dice your way to victory. That's it. But the physics-based combat is really fun, incredibly satisfying, and you can find all sorts of really chaotic power-ups that definitely spice things up. This is one of those games you can just pick up and play, and despite its simple concept, I could actually play it for hours on end because of how fun it is and how well everything is executed. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. This is an excellent puzzle game where you play as Toad, who must dodge dangers and track treasures across a wide variety of settings. One of my favorite things about this game are the very charming diorama-like scenes that you'll need to navigate in different clever ways, but the catch is you're actually not able to jump, so you have to get creative with how you approach the different challenges. You also have to play with perspective to reach your objectives by rotating the set, moving platforms, and more. I really enjoy puzzle games that are fun and not frustrating, and this is definitely a top pick in that regard for me. The game also has a co-op mode, which I would love to try out. Any game that adds co-op gets bonus points from me. Cooking Mama Cook-Off. There's a ton of really fun titles that stand out to me from the Wii era, but this game in particular was probably one of my most played. It was another one of those moments in gaming that left me in awe as a kid because of the evolving technology with motion controls. In this game specifically, I loved the process of following recipes step by step and actually taking physical actions with the Wii remote to make the different dishes. It sort of gave me this sense of accomplishment, and I thrived off of the fast-paced nature of each step of the recipe, which were all based in different mini games, which I was always a sucker for. Coral Island. I'm sure it'll be no surprise to see Coral Island on this list. It has changed my life in more ways than I could ever begin to describe. It was the game that began my entire channel, and a big part of the reason we're all here today. But aside from the fact that it has somewhat acted as a catalyst that completely changed the direction of my life and career, no big deal. I also just love the game, of course. It's everything I want and more in a modern farm sim. The world is beautiful and vibrant, the story is heartfelt, the characters are full of life, there's so much magic to discover, and hundreds of hours of content to enjoy. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Coral Island because I'm enjoying every moment of playing it. Cozy Grove. This game is very special to me because I would find myself playing it for comfort in the early morning hours, handheld on Switch, when I couldn't fall asleep or honestly felt a little lost and confused about what was next for me. It occupied the time ahead of the Animal Crossing New Horizons 2.0 update, and definitely, like I said, gave me that comfort whenever I needed it. I appreciated the real-time aspect of this game, which was similar to Animal Crossing. I felt a lot of warmth in helping the different bear spirits, and simplicity in roaming around, just gathering materials, hopping in leaf piles, which is one of my favorite activities, and of course returning color to the world little by little. The best way I can describe the vibe of this game would maybe be similar to that of a cozy autumn day, but definitely with a touch of spooky on the side, and it'll always have a very special place in my heart. Cyberpunk 2077. In my opinion, this game is a true work of art. The world of Night City is breathtaking in a dark, futuristic, and dystopian kind of way, which I love. The characters feel so real. I found myself instantly connecting with them and wanting to learn more about their stories. And speaking of the story, it is incredible, in my opinion. The twists and turns, the stakes, the adventure. The writers don't hold back whatsoever in terms of the topics they address. Outside of the main story, there's also many side quests, and specifically the relationship arcs are so special. They are more than worth dedicating time towards experiencing. This is the only first-person game you'll see on today's list, and although I wish there was an option for third person, I happily make an exception for this game because it is just phenomenal. I've fully played through the game twice now, once as a nomad and second time as Corpo, and I'd love to do a third playthrough to experience the more recent DLC, which I haven't had a chance to try yet, but I so badly want to. Dinkum. This is another game that's very special to me for a number of reasons. It was one of the first games that I introduced to the channel outside of Coral Island while we were all just waiting for it to release. It actually helped me gain courage to share more of my gaming interests with you all, and also to, I guess, connect with my more chaotic side. Fast forward to today, it's been an absolute highlight to play this game with you guys. We've had some unforgettable moments together, from navigating the caves and just barely surviving crocodile attacks, to playing a musical number together, Sarah and the Sunstoners, and taking boat rides looking for new adventures. I also have to shout out the metal detector. Every game should have a metal detector. It is so fun for treasure hunting. Disney Dreamlight Valley. Honestly, I've had a bit of a mixed relationship with Disney Dreamlight Valley, but at the end of it all, I always come back to it as one of my top titles. There was a time where a lot of us were waiting for Coral Island to release, and it felt like that day might never come. On top of that, I was in a place where I was finding it really hard to discover joy in new games. Nothing felt quite right, nothing really hit the spot. I just didn't feel excitement towards new titles. Disney Dreamlight Valley completely changed that for me. It helped me reconnect with my inner child in many ways, and I found myself naturally waking up in the morning again with excitement and readiness to take on the day, because I knew when I got home from my job that was honestly wearing me down and taking a toll on me in more ways than one, I would be able to visit my valley villagers, mine for gems, complete exciting quests, fish, cook, do all the fun things. And that got me through my days for a little while. Of course, alongside being able to create content for you guys. When I reflect on the ups and downs that I've had in the past few years, this game truly turned things around for me in terms of my mental health, and for that, I will be forever grateful. Enshrouded. This game blew my mind when it released. It's one of those titles that you completely forget is in early access because it offers so much more than some full games even do. I initially got into this title for the amazing building, terraforming, and gardening mechanics, but found myself hooked in every aspect of its offerings, including the combat, the adventuring, the questing, and more. This is another game that I've treasured because I get to play it with many of you. We take on epic adventures, or sometimes just kick back and play music together. I absolutely love the direction that this game is going in, and I believe it will ultimately be one of the top survival titles out there to experience when all is said and done. Fae Farm. The idea of a fairy farm sim is just amazing to me, and Fae Farm does a great job in executing this concept. I love the way that magic is infused with your day-to-day activities, and I adore how the world looks. The animals and critters are so cute, everything just looks shiny and vibrant, you know? The characters are nothing to write home about, but the rest of the world more than makes up for it, in my opinion. I feel that this game has only improved with its updates and DLCs, adding a lot more content to enjoy and so many quality of life improvements. So this is a title that over time has become a part of my top picks, and I still haven't even fully completed the main storyline, so I'm excited to continue exploring the whimsical world. Fall Guys. There was a period of time where I would eat, sleep, breathe Fall Guys. I was always excited for a new season. I would check the shop every day to see which new outfits were available. I knew all of the obstacle course stages like the back of my hand, and they were so much fun to just pick up and play. It's literally like if Wipeout were a game. This is another title that I've just had an incredible time playing with some of you, and with this one, you are bound to laugh a lot, and of course, fall. Go-Go Town. This is a very recent addition to my top 50 and actually caught me off guard with just how hooked I became on it almost instantly. First of all, I just love the art style. If you can't tell, I'm a total sucker for visual appearances that give a made of clay or mini diorama kind of feel, if that makes sense. This is another one of those games that is just such good fun and offers a healthy dose of chaos into your gameplay, which I love. I also love all the different mounts that are super fun to drive around on. The mechanics of that specifically are very smooth and polished. I love finding different cosmetic loot around the world. The terraforming and decorating is also great. And discovering what new shops and services I can create down to the exact offerings on the menu is always a treat. Go-Go Town is only in early access right now, and I think it has an incredibly promising future ahead of it, which I'm so excited to follow. Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think this is actually an incredibly underrated game. It's third-person, story-driven, so it's a game that you can actually complete, which for me, sometimes it's nice to actually finish a game and be taken from beginning to end, just going along for the ride, enjoying it like a movie. The story is awesome, the soundtrack is the best, and it's super fun to control the different Guardians. So you will play as Star-Lord, but then you can command the Guardians to help you out in combat and also solve puzzles with their different unique abilities. I'm not sure why this game didn't get more attention. Maybe it was overshadowed by another release around that time, but it is so good, and I will definitely play this game again from front to back whenever the time is right. Inside. This game is a dark, narrative-driven platformer, and oh my gosh, is it ever clever and haunting, all at the same time. It's set in a dystopian, post-apocalyptic type atmosphere, which I always find particularly unsettling, but in a good way. I played this on the channel for a member stream last October, and we had an amazing time solving the puzzles together and discovering what was lurking around each and every corner. The pacing of the game is super well done. It takes you through these twists and turns with the perfect balance of slower, eerie moments and building suspense before finding yourself in a more intense moment where your precise movement and timing matters to keep the character alive. The art style is lovely. It's so simple in appearance at first glance, but there's actually so much detail. It really feels like you're playing through a piece of art. And I also appreciated how the game essentially teaches you how to solve their specific style of puzzles, but for yourself, which requires you to think outside the box. It Takes Two. This is yet another cooperative title that is a true masterpiece. In this title, you play as Cody and May, who are turned into dolls made by their daughter Rose, and you get to explore the world from this miniature size as you're guided by the Book of Love to help get your relationship back together. I don't even know how to put into words just how good this game is and how creative the mechanics are. It is so mind-blowing the way you're asked to take on these challenges with the other player. You're always collaborating in these new and unique ways that you would never think of, and it does require teamwork to get through the different challenges, and it feels like you're just exploring this giant playground the entire time, which is only further enhanced by being in these roles of tiny dolls. I think if I had to just pick one single game with the most creative gameplay that I've personally experienced, it would have to be It Takes Two. It really ignites that sense of discovery as you explore such a nice variety of environments, from the inside of a snow globe and the garden to a playroom and so much more. As you can imagine, the story is also very heartfelt, plus there are so many mini games and charming little surprises just hidden everywhere. You're always encountering something new and fun to do, which on its own makes for an exciting experience. I cannot emphasize how incredible this game truly is. The best way to understand exactly what I mean is to play it yourself. Kena Bridge of Spirits. The world in this game is so whimsical and breathtakingly gorgeous. It gives Studio Pixar animation quality, not just in terms of the world design, but especially within the incredibly cinematic cutscenes that are so high quality, it is unreal. In this game, you play as Kena, who is a young spirit guide on a mission to help spirits cross over in a land that has become corrupted. Along the way, you heal the environment, clearing it from that corruption, and you find and collect the most adorable little spirits called the Rot, who will accompany you and help you both in combat and also with solving puzzles. There's so much to collect in this game, so if you like collecting things like me, you'll love that. My favorite thing to collect are the different little hats that the Rot can wear. The combat is also really fun with interesting enemies, and I especially appreciate how in this title, once you defeat one of the bosses, you're essentially healing them from the corruption that has consumed them and will help them find peace and cross over instead of being stuck where they are. This game will make you cry and will leave you mesmerized by all the discoveries that you'll make as you explore the stunning world. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This is my favorite Kirby game, hands down. I love that it's a 3D Kirby game with unique and interesting environments to explore. The game is gorgeous and the level design is chef's kiss. The atmosphere of each unique stage really lands, including the soundtrack, the enemy types, Kirby's abilities, and everything else. Along the way, you will have to find missing Waddle Dees, and some of them can actually be challenging to find, so there's more than reason to revisit stages if you'd like to 100% everything. The bosses also offer creative battles, and you'll be able to choose between different special abilities for Kirby that will impact the way you approach everything. And don't even get me started on mouthful mode, where Kirby can literally become a car, a vending machine, a light bulb, just to name a few examples. This adds a whole new level of Frontier gameplay. The controls are so smooth for handling Kirby. There's also a really adorable hub world with lots of fun extra activities. Here you can upgrade Kirby's different abilities, but you can also fish, enjoy a little cooking minigame, kind of like Diner Dash style. It is so cute, so vibrant. I love this game so much. Life is Strange True Colors. This is actually the only Life is Strange game that I've personally tried so far, and it left a great impression on me. It's a narrative adventure game where you follow Alex, who has supernatural powers through which she can experience the strong emotions of others, on a journey of solving the mystery of a tragedy that happened in her life. I was definitely super invested in the story, and of course, getting to the bottom of the mystery. I loved how unique the emotion mechanics were too. You can actually hear the thoughts and feelings at times of other characters around the town, and then you can use this information to your advantage to help the characters. It's also really interesting to see how Alex's perspective changes when she views the world through someone else's eyes. There are also so many decisions you have to make which will have an impact on the future of the story and the outcome for the characters. This game definitely got me into the Life is Strange universe, and I'm really looking forward to the new entry releasing this October. Little Nightmares. I love both Little Nightmares games in the series, and you do need to play both to appreciate the full story, or at least what's been told so far. In the first one, you play as a young girl named Six, and in the second, you will play as a little boy named Mono. The universe is very fascinating. It's eerie and disturbing in such an effective way for the horror genre, and the game offers players this sort of organic, discover as you explore method of storytelling, which I love, because you kind of have to put some of the pieces together yourself, and it's not explicitly laid out for you like exactly what's happening. You're trying to figure it out as you go through the games. You're put into so many situations that are very intense, and you'll have to use stealth to sneak around in the settings to escape wherever it is that you're trapped. The enemies are incredibly haunting. I also really liked how a lot of the story was left up to your own interpretation, so there's lots of room to speculate, wonder, and try to connect the dots. I actually have full playthroughs of both titles on the channel. However, I would like to say that I played the Nintendo Switch versions specifically, which made the controls feel a bit more clunky and led me to struggle with certain sequences in the game. So if you have options for different versions, like PC or PlayStation, I would definitely recommend those ones over Nintendo Switch. So I do want to mention that. But the third entry in the series is also on the horizon, and I'm so excited to see where everything goes. Luigi's Mansion 3. This is another title that I fully played front to back on the channel and was completely enamored by the world and the clever puzzles to solve. You play as Luigi on a mission to rescue his friends who have been trapped in paintings, and on your adventures you'll explore different floors of a haunted hotel, which is so cool because every single floor presents this unique theme to it that you can enjoy. The mechanics of using the poltergust to solve puzzles and collect basically everything you see is super satisfying. You'll also use this tool to catch ghosts, which is really fun, and you can upgrade it with different parts to gain new abilities. Some of the puzzles and boss battles are actually quite challenging, but regardless of difficulty level, they're all just really fun. Nintendo does fun really well. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I grew up playing plenty of Mario Kart with friends and family, and so for me, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe takes the cake as the definitive Mario Kart experience. There is such a nice variety of courses, especially once they added the more recent expansions. There's a pretty decent lineup of characters and carts to choose from, and the power-ups are more or less what you would expect from the series. The handling of the kart racing is incredible, which is always make or break for me with any racing games, and one of the main reasons why I always go back to Mario Kart. It's the best. I also appreciate the different settings that you can play around with to customize your racing experience more to your taste. You can add and remove specific power-ups if there's certain ones you're not a fan of. You can also change the way power-ups are distributed, so I usually pick frantic mode for extra chaos. There are other game modes to enjoy too, but I mostly stick to the classic racing. This is a perfect game to pick up and play. I've seriously played it so much over the years with friends at gatherings, before going out, you name it. It just works as a great activity to enjoy and not take things too seriously, but also get a little bit competitive sometimes because it's Mario Kart. Mario Party Superstars. This is another one of my top games to enjoy with friends, though if you commit to an actual board together, it's going to be a bit more of a journey. However, you can also just free play minigames, which can be more casual, fast-paced, chaotic, and of course fun. Over the years, I've actually probably played more Super Mario Party with friends. Specifically, the rhythm mini games in that one are super fun, but I think I've mostly played that one just because it's been out longer. So I decided on Mario Party Superstars being my favorite of the two right now because it's such a nice way to experience some of the older Mario parties that I grew up playing, not just with a fresh coat of paint, but completely remade for the modern era. I love the game boards, I love the mini games, and I'm also so excited for the new entry in the series, Mario Party Jamboree, which is coming out later this year. New Super Mario Bros. This 2D Mario game on the Wii was a major part of my childhood. My brother and I got this game together at a time when we had just moved to a whole new city as a family, so we were very much in a time period where we were meeting new people and honestly just trying to make new friends as kids. So we would come home from school every single day and play this game together no matter what for hours upon hours upon hours. We would repeat and retry levels, we would pick up and throw each other around the courses, we would try the boss battles over and over again until we would beat them. I remember it took us forever to beat the final boss. Like, we did it over and over and over again, and we would get so close, and then we'd mess up and we'd have to restart because it was kind of like a chase boss. Yeah, it was just something that we really bonded together over, and it was actually the first game that I remember playing with my entire family because a lot of the times it would be my brother and my dad and myself that would play games, but we actually got my mom involved in this one, and it was so fun because you could just like pick each other up. And so my brother would pick my mom up through the parts that were a little bit more complicated. And oh my gosh, it was just so chaotic and so fun. And we were just constantly laughing the whole time we were playing. So that's definitely the 2D Mario game that I've played the most in my life. And it'll always be special and stand out for me for that reason. And of course, the 4-player co-op. I think that was the first 2D Mario that had 4-player co-op. I could be mistaken, but I think that's true. At least it was the first time that we played a 2D game with 4 players. So that was pretty awesome. Nintendogs. This was another one of my first games that I owned and saved up for. I had such a hard time choosing which dog to get. I actually didn't realize you would be able to get multiple dogs once you had the game. So I literally spent forever stressing over like which dog I was gonna pick, like forever and ever. I ultimately settled on the Chihuahua one, and I still have the physical copy of it, which is again so cool. I always wanted a dog as a kid. Our family did end up getting one eventually, but I just love the idea of caring for this virtual pet, you know, taking it on walks, playing with it, feeding it. In retrospect, there wasn't like a ton to do in this game, but I didn't need much as a kid. It also had a real-time simulation system, so the dog would get hungry or like dirty based on the amount of time that had elapsed. But I think the most fun part of it for me as a kid was that the touchscreen was so well implemented. You would use it to pet the dog, throw balls, frisbees, and I just remembered you could even use the microphone in the DS to call your dog by its name and give it commands, I'm pretty sure. So you could tell it to like sit or roll over. So as a kid, again, that was just so cool. I was like, wow, it can hear me. Like, that's so cool. So that definitely stood out to me, and I'm a huge dog lover. So yeah, that was just like a dream come true for me as a kid, that specific game. Overcooked All You Can Eat. This is another one of my favorite co-op games. It is so frantic and so chaotic and so fun. I really like this edition because it includes everything. It has the first, the second, and all the DLCs and expansions. The cooking minigame mechanics specifically are so satisfying, like when you're chopping a vegetable, for example. And I just love following the recipes step by step and learning new dishes. Like, oh my gosh, now we're making fish and chips. Now we're making soups. Like, it's so fun to follow the steps and like learn new mechanics. I do have to admit that sometimes the stages get a little too chaotic for me. So I like to play with the settings a little bit sometimes. You can either like extend the amount of time you have or lower the requirements to pass the stage. So I do love that they offer a variety of settings for that. But I have so much fun completing the recipes, working together with others, and yeah, I love it. Palia. This is another title that you might not be surprised to see on this list, and although the game is still just in beta, I feel like it has a very promising future if all goes well. I love how much there is to do. There's so many quests, there's friendship, there's romance, there's decorating, there's exploring, there's all sorts of skills that you can enjoy and level up, there's events. Depending on your interests, I find it quite difficult to run out of things to do in Palia. And of course, I love that there's always new items that are being added to collect, new updates, new mechanics, new features. I love that the game feels like it's alive and always evolving, so there's always something new to look forward to. And of course, this title is so special because we get to share so many memories as a community when playing it. Party animals. This is where you'll find the cutest animals in any game, and you can't change my mind. They are so well done, they're so well designed, the details, the fur, they're adorable. All the different mini games you can play online or offline, including in local co-op. I most often play offline in like a private lobby with friends, but I do also go online sometimes, now that I've practiced lots and feel like I can actually hold my own. So the animals have physics-based movement, and it is so well done, and it is so funny to watch these animals flail around and, oh my gosh, just try to land a hit or pick something up. The pickup mechanics, you actually have to position the hands correctly on the item you're picking up for the pickup to be successful. It sounds like, oh, that might be frustrating at first, but it is so clever, and once you get the hang of it, it just adds a whole other layer of funny to the game. Like, you are going to be laughing so much when you play this. I don't think I've ever laughed so much playing any single game. I don't think so. I think Party Animals takes the cake for that. There's also so many new animals you can unlock, new outfits. A lot of the game modes are kind of battle to be the last one standing, but there's a ton that aren't. There's hockey, there's soccer with giant soccer balls and giant hockey pucks. There's a game where you have to collect as many gumdrops and gummy bears as possible before the other team does. And most recently, they even added kart racing called Nemo Kart, which is really fun and seems very promising. This is also another one of those games that is constantly receiving updates, which I personally love. Princess Peach Showtime. The fact that Princess Peach finally got her own game alone makes this one of my top picks, but over and above that, the gameplay for me was super enjoyable. I love how Nintendo often creates these games that offer different themed stages. We've seen it in Luigi's Mansion and many other titles, and they switch it up depending on the specific title, the character, the world. So in this game, it's presented in the form of unique stage plays that Princess Peach takes the lead role in to save the Sparkle Theater. So she takes on these different transformations for each play, which offer new gameplay mechanics, powers, skills, and more. It feels like everything is always new, but at the same time, you get to revisit the transformations to enjoy more of those unique mechanics without anything overstaying its welcome. I also love that they added the ability to collect new dresses for Peach and Stella. There's even little decorations you can buy to change up the look of the Sparkle Theater. I will never forget reaching the finale of the game. It was so breathtaking and had me in tears. This is another title that I've played through entirely on the channel, so you can watch it front to back if you're interested, and I really hope that this is just the start of a new series or set of adventures for Princess Peach, because she deserves to shine. Resident Evil 2 Remake. I've been wanting to get into the Resident Evil series for quite some time now, so after quite a bit of research, I decided to start with Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the process of taking my time when I could, exploring each new area. I love discovering new items for which I didn't know the purpose of yet, but I would need in the future to solve puzzles, open doors to new areas. I also really love the inventory management aspect of the game, where you have to fit all of your items based on their shape and size into a briefcase, something that the Resident Evil series is very much known for. I also don't know what it is about this game specifically, but I felt so rewarded and satisfied when I would successfully solve the puzzles, way more so than similar games. Again, for whatever reason, I have no idea why this is. The zombies and enemies are very well done. They're the perfect amount of scary without being too overwhelming. Without spoiling anything, if you haven't played it, there is one specific enemy that did have your girl stressed, okay? But it was super effective, and I understand why it was part of the game, but oh my gosh, I had to take a break. I had to take a break for sure with that one enemy, but the rest was totally manageable for me. I played through the game as Claire, and I would love to play through it again and explore additional entries in the series as soon as I can. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I just love how action-packed the Tomb Raider games are. I love the stories. I love exploring all these amazing environments. Specifically in this one, there's the jungle, there's underwater environments. I love the climbing, the platforming. I just feel unstoppable when I play Tomb Raider games. I, of course, love solving the puzzles. Some of them are kind of tough, but I do really love the puzzles. And I do love the combat. Like, there's such a nice balance of feels like almost everything in this game. And I like how with combat, you can use stealth, and specifically using this jungle setting to your advantage. So you can use mud for camouflage. You land up like hanging from trees at some points. There's a lot of side quests. There's artifacts to discover. Again, environments are so beautiful. Lots of exploration, really heavy on the exploration, which I love. I also appreciate how there are these semi-open hub areas to explore where you can raid challenge tombs to unlock rewards, you can complete side missions here, and also collect resources that can be used for crafting. So this game has a lot to offer. I haven't played it in a while, and I really want to get back into it, play it all the way through again when I might potentially have the time one day. We'll have to wait and see on that. Spiritfarer. If you want a healthy cry, this is the game to play. It has a beautiful hand-drawn art style and mixes platforming with cozy management aspects for a completely unforgettable journey. You play as Stella, who helps care for spirit friends on their journey to the afterlife. And over time, you're going to be building this boat, adding on different expansions for activities and to gather resources for the passengers. So you can make a kitchen, a garden, a workshop, things like that. You navigate the world by this boat, visiting different islands, each offering unique things to discover, like mines to explore, new spirits to meet, shops to browse, special resources that you can bring back to the boat. The platforming is also fun and leads you to discover all sorts of secrets in harder to reach places. The story is very heartwarming and the characters are so sweet, but definitely be prepared to address some heavier topics of grief, life, and death as you embark on this adventure. In my opinion, it's not a game to enjoy anytime, but when it is the right time and you feel ready for it, it hits you right in the feels so beautifully. Stray. This game is the definitive experience of playing as a cat. There's truly no better game out there that offers this. The cat's movement and animations are on point. They are perfect. And you will truly be a cat. You can knock things off ledges. You can trip characters by moving through their feet. You can jump to reach high places, balance atop buildings, take a scratching break, and seriously, just be a cat. I loved every minute of being this adorable cat in a big dystopian cyberpunk city. Overall, the game is quite wholesome, but also incorporates some darker elements, including some enemies you'll have to evade either by fleeing, fighting, or using stealth to sneak past them. There are really fun puzzles to solve that require you to assume a completely different perspective because you're a cat, so you're not going to be able to solve it the way a human would. It's so fun to just play around in the world and see what you can come across as you explore. And I was actually really sad when it ended because I wanted to keep playing. So I really hope there will be a sequel, either to continue this cat's journey, or maybe even follow the journey of a stray puppy, or even better, an option for co-op with a cat and a dog working together. What do you think? Sunhaven. This is a fantasy farming simulation game with an RPG twist that has so much to offer. I don't like all pixel art styles, but this is one that I do really like. It has all of your classic mechanics: farming, ranching, fishing, mining, romance, so on and so forth. One of my favorite things about this game is that there is no stamina. Plus, you get to learn different magical spells to put a twist on all of those classic mechanics. The developers also shoot for the stars because you can progress the game's story across 4 different unique areas. So you have the main area of Sunhaven, but also the Elven Forests of Nilvari, the monster city of Withergate, which might be my favorite, and the underwater region of the Brimstone Deeps, which I've yet to experience. I truly think you could easily pour hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game. I know I almost reached 100 hours just in the initial early access launch alone, back when there was far less content. However, sadly, I haven't been able to make time yet to really dive into the 1.0 version, but it is very high on my priority list in terms of my backlog. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I never played Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U. I actually completely skipped the Wii U console. I went from Wii to Nintendo Switch. So you can imagine what a treat it was for me to experience this title for the first time on the Switch. There were so many new abilities that I had never experienced before. I love the cat suit and how you can climb around the course with it. The level design for each stage and the world in general is phenomenal. Everything is a treat to behold. It is music to your eyes. It is so vibrant, so colorful, so fun to look at. The platforming controls are tight and great. Of course, I love playing as Princess Peach. Plus, this edition of the game comes with Bowser's Fury, which was so cool to see Bowser in this really awesome form. This game felt like Nintendo was trying out something new with how you explore the world, where you return to different areas with new ways to explore each of them as time passes. And I could definitely see them creating some sort of full-size game using some of these concepts, which I would love. This is another great pick up and play title that is super fun to enjoy by yourself or with friends. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This title released more recently, and I played it quite a bit on the channel. I was in absolute awe of how creative the team was with their level design. The title Wonder seems to fit so well for this game because you'll constantly be discovering new secrets and surprises at each and every turn. Literally every single level feels different from the last, and they offer so many cool, interesting mechanics. Of course, I couldn't talk about this title without mentioning the Wonder Flowers, which when you interact with them, something crazy and unexpected happens to transform the level and your gameplay, and it was different for me every single time I found a flower. There are also these badges that you can collect to give you special abilities, like my favorite, which was a wall jump, and this would also lend to your experience of each level. Again, the visuals are just gorgeous, and of course the soundtrack is on point. Ahead of the game's release, I wondered how the 2D platforming genre could be innovated, and this is exactly how. Super Mario Odyssey. This is my favorite Mario game of all time and definitely one of the best games on the Nintendo Switch system. You'll embark on an adventure with Mario across a wide variety of kingdoms to collect power moons that you'll use to power up your Odyssey airship to ultimately try to save Princess Peach. The different areas you visit are also unique and vibrant with different themes and characters who fit perfectly with the environments. Plus the introduction of Cappy, Mario's hat, and corresponding mechanics are game-changing. You can use it for a number of new functions and movement styles, but most notably to transform into a huge variety of enemies, taking on their unique abilities to solve puzzles, traverse areas, and more. This title also has amazing replay value because there are almost 1,000 moons hidden throughout the game, so you can go back to each of the kingdoms to try to find them all. Some of them are really hidden. These worlds are just so fun to explore, plus you can get cute little outfits for Mario that are unique to each of the kingdoms. I could honestly play this game over and over again, and I hope we get a sequel or something similar for the next console. Tamagotchi Connection Corner Shop. This is probably my second most played Nintendo DS game after Animal Crossing Wild World, and it is a shop simulator game featuring characters from the Tamagotchi series. The game tasks you with choosing one of 3 Tamagotchi to run shops and services with across different cities, and at each shop you'll play unique minigames to serve customers. The services include things like a dentist, cleaners, beauty salon, and a spa. There's shops like a flower shop, a takoyaki shop, a jeweler, and more. As I've said multiple times in this video, I was a huge sucker for minigames as a kid and still am today. So I think that combined with the integration of the DS touchscreen just made all of these bite-sized minigames extra fun. I also especially love games where you're making unique creations for customers, like decorating cakes, arranging flowers and such. I just think it's fun and satisfying to fill out custom orders, following different steps. I guess I've always loved that sense of productivity and checking off to-dos, even from a young age. The Last of Us. and The Last of Us Part 2, because I couldn't just pick one. I feel like you would definitely need to play both in order to experience the full story, and this is one of those experiences that just whisks you on an adventure as if you're playing through a living, breathing movie that you can control. The story in both parts is incredibly emotional, chilling, and will stick with you long after playing. Part 2 destroyed me emotionally in more ways than one, but I definitely think there's a story worth telling there that, if you're up for it, is more than worth experiencing. The relationships between the characters are also very well developed and told not just through cutscenes, but also the gameplay itself. I really enjoyed the survival aspects of managing ammo, health, and other resources, and the combat is very, very satisfying, of course, along with the exploration, puzzle solving, platforming, and more. The zombies are scary in the best way, though I will admit that in part 2, some parts were so intense that I did have to take some breaks when playing. I had to pace myself because I just got so immersed, and there were some pretty scary environments. I do feel that the physical controls and mechanics in part 2 are much more modern and smooth than part 1, which I have more difficulties with getting used to, although I've yet to try the remake of it, only the earlier remaster. I definitely see myself playing through part 1 and part 2 again in their entirety, but I know I'll need to be prepared mentally and emotionally for a roller coaster. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Overall atmosphere of the game is very peaceful and serene, outside of battle, of course. The world is massive, meaning there are constantly new secrets to uncover and discoveries to make. The best part about this game, in my opinion, is that you can truly navigate everything at your own pace. You can mainline the story or do what I did and get lost spending hours and hours exploring every corner of the world through fields, forests, and mountain peaks. It also gives you a lot of freedom, not just in terms of what you do, but how you do it. You can climb, glide, ride horseback, swim, run, and more to traverse the map. You can even cook a variety of meals for Link to enjoy, which can help improve health, stamina, and more. All of the relaxing and calm elements balance out well with the more upbeat aspects of the game, like the exciting combat encounters. There are also so many puzzle shrines to navigate, Korok seeds to collect, side quests to experience, and hundreds of hours worth of gameplay to enjoy. I personally haven't even beat the story because I spend so much time just frolicking around the fields and taking in the sights, and it's for this reason that I'm selecting Breath of the Wild over Tears of the Kingdom, because as much as I've loved what I've experienced of the sequel, I would like to fully complete this title first before fully moving on to experiencing more of the next, and then deciding ultimately whether I prefer one over the other. The Quarry. This horror game is more of a cinematic, interactive experience than anything, which is a nice change of pace and offers a new experience. You'll control 9 different camp counselors who have to survive their last night at Hackett's Quarry summer camp, and you're gonna have many tough choices to make, often in the heat of some intense moments, which might significantly affect character development, relationships, the story's plot, and its ending. The story keeps you on your toes and apparently has a possibility of 186 different endings, of which I have experienced just 2. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This action-adventure game serves as a standalone expansion to Uncharted 4, which I also love, but I particularly love playing this title with Chloe as the protagonist. You set off to find the Tusk of Ganesh in the mountain ranges of India, and it's a race against the clock as you try to beat the antagonist to each clue and discovery site. The combat system in this game is decent, but the puzzles and exploration are where it truly shines for me personally. The environments are stunning, the platforming and climbing is, well, very Uncharted, meaning very fun. Of course, the storytelling is also stellar, and while it operates overall in a linear fashion, it doesn't always feel that way because you're given many opportunities to just explore bigger open world areas within the game at your own pace. Some of the puzzles I encountered were very clever and tricky, and there were some super memorable sequences, like one where you're navigating across the cars of a moving train in combat. It is so epic. Unpacking. This is another one of those very special near and dear titles to me because it was the first gameplay video I shared on the channel at all. And I remember being so nervous to express my passion for gaming beyond just the one title, because to that point, Coral Island had been all that I'd spoken on. So this was really the first step towards what we have now on the channel, which is variety content. And I'm so happy to be covering such a variety of games now. I feel like I can really share more of who I am and my passions and interests with you guys by sharing and bonding over a wider variety of games. So back to unpacking. I love the art style and the soundtrack and the simple therapeutic process of unboxing the main character's possessions and finding the perfect place for everything is super satisfying. I also love how the character's story is told through the different rooms and apartments that you're moving them into, along with which belongings are left behind, which new items are introduced, and which things stay with them until the very end. I also started a Dark Star mode playthrough more recently, which is a secret game mode in which you need to place everything in the wrong place to get a Dark Star and complete each level, which I just love that they added that. Until Dawn. Until Dawn was the first game I played within the family of cinematic experience type games, and I think I prefer this title a little bit over The Quarry, but it's very close. They are coming out with a remaster of Until Dawn, so I would like to check that out and see if it is still my favorite, especially with gameplay improvements. It might really take the cake then. But this game functions very similarly as I described The Quarry, with the branching narrative, survival horror game kind of vibe. It also features a butterfly effect system in which your choices impact many elements of the story, ranging from small choices like picking up a book to heftier moral choices. And some of those decisions will unlock an entirely new sequence of events to experience that you wouldn't otherwise. I really enjoyed finding clues in this title. I felt like a little detective, but I do have to admit that I struggled in this one to keep everyone alive because at the time that I played it, I was very new to PlayStation and getting back into video games after some time away, mostly focused on, school. So reacting to pressing the triangle button, for example, required me looking down at the controller to figure out which one it was before I had memorized the buttons. So I was much more successful keeping almost everyone alive in The Quarry, but Until Dawn was a bit of a disaster, but it was so fun. And honestly, maybe it was more fun because of that. Untitled Goose Game. Last but certainly not least is Untitled Goose Game. If you want to run around as a silly little goose, alone or with a friend, and just cause so much chaos, you'll love this game. The goose controls are really fun, and you'll get these little to-do lists across different sections of a town, and you're gonna have to figure out how to accomplish each of the tasks as a goose. For example, you might be asked to set up a picnic by the lake with specific items, or steal the gardener's hat, just to name a few examples. The game has a really nice minimalistic art style and peaceful soundtrack. It's really easy to get the hang of if you're looking for a more casual, laid-back gaming experience. Even if you don't want to complete the objectives, you can just run around and play in the environments with no risk of harm. But if you accomplish all the main to-dos, there'll be more bonus tasks that will unlock, providing extra challenge. Well, there you have it, friends. Those were my top 50 games of all time as it stands right now. It was actually really tough making this list and narrowing it down to just 50 because I've played a lot of games in my lifetime and I love so many more than what I've shared today. It was also tough because there's so many upcoming games that I feel like will definitely take a spot on this list, but they're just not out yet, so I just can't say. But I hope you enjoyed getting to know a lot more about me through my favorite games. And if you have any top games that you'd like to share, please let me know down in the comments. Maybe we have some in common. Maybe now there's some that are my favorite that you'd like to try. Please let me know. Anything and everything. You know I always love hearing from you. Thank you again so much for helping me reach the incredible milestone of 50,000 subscribers. I seriously don't know how to thank you guys for all of the support. Of course, stay tuned for all sorts of new content coming your way. Please go ahead and shine the lovely like button if you enjoyed today's feature presentation. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and until next time, take care.